time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I am all out of gum.
Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to the Boring Company. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the project in Fort Lauderdale. There's been a bit of an update from the mayor, and I wanted to discuss some of the things that he's written in his recent blog post, which I thought was quite excellent, very well balanced, and covered quite a lot of topics that I think are very important for the Boring Company. So I'm very glad that Dean wrote that. We're going to cover that, and there's been a few tweets as well, which are quite interesting. So that's all good. So let's start there. So if you follow me on Twitter, if you don't, please do so at BoringProofRock. Mayor Dean Trantalise, I think that's how you pronounce it, has got the following thing to say. In my November newsletter, I discuss how transit tunnels offer proven answers to addressing our traffic congestion. The city is in the midst of negotiations with Elon, Musk and Boring Company to build an underground loop between downtown and the beach. So it's good that those negotiations are ongoing. Ultimately, there's a lot of different things they need to thrash out. Most importantly, what is the defined route that they're going to take, and how many stops, ramps, stations are going to be included, and how are they going to ensure that this system is easily extendable. These things are very, very important. As you can see, there are various pictures on this tweet that Dean has sent out. This one at the top left is not a Boring Company project. I believe those are Herring Connect machines. They're not to do with the Boring Company, so I don't know why he's chosen that particular picture, because there are plenty others. But anyway, so he said this tweet. There's also, I'm sure there's another tweet as well. Here it is. There are a lot of questions about how the loop would work, and FTL is so interested in it. We have been limited under state law in what we could say publicly up to this point. So obviously, a lot of things are going on in the background, a lot of things are being said, but we're just not, parties to that information, as it were. So now, as it were, he is coming clean, which is this blog post that he's produced, which I enjoyed reading. There was one particular thing in there that I didn't like seeing, but hey, you know what? It swings around about. So let's get going. If you don't already know, the project in Fort Lauderdale is a twin bore tunnel. From end to end, it's about 2.65 miles, 2.7 miles, say. Twin bore tunnel, so all in all, it's around 5.4 miles in total of tunnel. I don't know whether they're going to do that with 1 TBM or 2 TBMs. I hope to God they're going to use 2 TBMs, because it will take absolutely ages if they just use one machine and then turn it around. I think that at this point in the kind of career, as it were, of the Boring Company, they should be using 2 TBMs, really. And it just improves or streamlines the program of construction so much more if they can do both the tunnels concurrently. Okay, so let's have a read. So Elon Musk and transit tunnels. At the end of October, we wrapped up in Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, and what a banner year it was for this critical part of our economy. So he goes on about this, indicates a long-term solution, blah, 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 blah. The city is in the midst of negotiations with Elon Musk, the Boring Co. to build an underground transit loop between downtown and the beach. Using dedicated electric vehicles to navigate the tunnel network, passengers will be transported between locations in about 3 minutes for the cost of a cup of coffee. So you're looking at around $4 to $5, 3-minute journey, around 2.7 miles in 3 minutes is in and around 54 to 57 miles per hour. Depends, obviously, you've got to include acceleration and deacceleration as well, and they might have to slow down going through a central station. I'm not sure about that. I'm hopeful that they can sort of eliminate that from the design, as it were. That you shouldn't need to pass through a station if you're not going to stop there. I think that's a bad design element that should be eliminated as soon as possible. This will be a cutting-edge project, visionary step for Fort Lauderdale that builds upon Musk's success in Las Vegas, where a similar system has been transporting thousands of conventioneers. So you might know there's a lot of FUD at the moment on Twitter, people saying that Las Vegas Convention Centre's a stupid waste of money, and it's not. It's fulfilled all the obligations within the contract. It finished on time, it finished on budget, it was a very high quality piece of engineering, and it's delivering the required throughput of over 4,400 passengers per hour. Now, there are certain events where the Boeing company runs less vehicles and allows less people in the vehicles, and they don't need to run at capacity because it's a small event for 5,000 or 6,000 people, and you don't need to run at 4,400 all day long. You can happily run at 1,800 or 2,500 or something like that, and that's what the Boeing company does. And some people are cherry picking data and making a big meal out of it. Don't listen to them. They are potentially being paid, or they have some other alternative motive to push FUD, as it were. So just ignore the bullshit, because at the end of the day, the Boeing company's winning, Tesla's winning, Elon Musk is winning, SpaceX is winning, Starlink is winning, everyone's winning, Neuralink is winning. We're all making bank. Okay, the vision. As a community, we need to find a public transportation system that is fast, convenient, and inexpensive. All the wonderful words that I like to hear. And it must be one that is also dynamic enough to meet the needs of residents and visitors that change throughout the year. So when you think about a train system, it's constantly running with 6, 8, maybe 10 trains. It'd be very difficult to run it with less trains than that or more trains than that. This system could run with as few as potentially 20 to 30 vehicles, and potentially up to around 250, 300 vehicles if needs be. So the flexibility there is absolutely brilliant, and when those vehicles are not being used underground in the future, maybe they could be used as part of the Robo Taxi network, so they are making money 18 hours a day. They've just got to obviously charge at some point, so it's not going to be 24 hours a day. We would start with the beach route because of the existing traffic limitations on surrounding roadways. You've got to start somewhere, guys, and the high volume of cars witnessed at key times. So ultimately, down Las Olas Boulevard, you have extreme gridlock, you have lots of upset people, you've got pedestrians who are potentially being trapped because they can't cross the road because there's too many cars, and it's a bit of a palaver. So this is hopefully going to alleviate some of the traffic. Obviously, it's not going to eliminate the traffic, but at this moment in time, it's just one essentially dual bore tunnel. If they can add more tunnels, eventually we can reduce congestion significantly to a level not seen in the last sort of almost 100 years. A1A is at its capacity. Sunrise Boulevard, Las Olas Boulevard and Southeast 17th Street have frequent traffic jams as well, particularly during the winter season. Events like the boat show, blah blah blah. We need to look beyond traditional solutions, i.e. we're not going to be paying someone $500 million to build something that never makes any money, has an extremely high maintenance bill, and people essentially are getting on there. It's getting too busy, and it takes 10 years to build instead of 7 years. That is what you get from traditional solutions. You get high costs, you get long construction timelines, and you get a product that doesn't make any money. There is no way to widen the roads, and South Florida, like many urban areas, has a difficult time increasing the public's use of transit. People just don't want to use buses. This is a really great shame. I think with the advent of electric buses and more kind of frequent smaller buses, this might change in the future. So I think there is a case for another business to come in, not necessarily Tesla, but someone else who can essentially have a very kind of frequent small bus service that's very clean and efficient. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive than a traditional bus, attracts a different kind of clientele, and thus you've got more kind of a high quality, fast, efficient, reliable service without all the rumbling of a diesel engine. So that's one thing to think about. But in the sort of short to medium term, Boring Company can come in and use its robo vans. This is a term that I'm going to start using a lot more. Robo vans, robo taxis. I believe that is the terminology that we should be using for the Boring Company, because I think using the term minibus, when you think of a minibus, you kind of think of this kind of box vehicle that doesn't really do very well at anything, and I don't like that. I like the term robo van. I think that it's purpose built for the solution it's going to be used for, whether it would be moving passengers or moving packages or even moving other things, maybe specific types of passengers or specific types of goods. So that's the new term that you're going to hear me using a lot. Robo vans. So Musk Boring Company provides a safe, zero accidents, zero incidents, zero injuries. In fact, I should be more accurate there. There has been one injury at the Las Vegas Convention Center loop. I'm very sorry to say that. Unfortunately, a woman put her hand in the door and one of the concierges accidentally slammed the door on her hand. Now, it's terrible that we've had, a year of events, as it were, and we've had this one very, very minor accident. They had to put a plaster on the finger, so that's absolutely terrible. So sorry to hear that. But this is it. I'm constantly getting in arguments with people saying that it is not safe, the system. But we've had almost 12 months of running. We've had one very, 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 very minor incident. Other than that, no other incidents. We've had zero accidents. We've had zero near misses. That is a key metric, by the way, near misses, because you can scale near misses into accidents. Generally, it's 1 to 4, but that's a key, selling point of the system. Is it's super, super safe, and that's the top priority of Steve Davis and Elon Musk. It has to be the safest mass transit system ever built in the United States of America. So fast to build, we're going to be using tunnel boring machines that are doing 60, 70 meters per day. Hopefully we're going to have multiple TBMs, so that's 140 meters per day. Low cost, around $5 to $6 per TBM mile. Clean transit system, runs on batteries. Those batteries are very safe. They use 98% renewable electricity. At the moment, the grid's not quite there to get 100%, but I think 98% is more than suffice in Florida. I'm sure things will improve greatly over the next 5 years or so. One that offers high capacity. I keep being told that this system is not high capacity, but in my opinion, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 passengers per hour is high capacity. That is a lot more than traditional road, and 10,000 is just the beginning. Over the next 5 to 10 years, potentially that could be doubled with better vehicles and a better sequencing of vehicles entering and exiting the system. Imagine dedicated electric vehicles quickly taking suburban families from downtown parking to a day of sun and surf. That sounds beautiful. Absolutely. Will absolutely love to come down and have a look at this scheme, hopefully very soon. Couples to a concert, or hotel and restaurant workers to their jobs, all with less hassle. How it works? Well, Loop would be underground. It's not a subway system. It would describe it more as an express concierge level service. It's on demand, destination to destination. This means there is no stops and no waiting. Fantastic. That's just how I like to hear it. You jump in and go. As such, it eliminates many of the inconveniences of traditional public transport, i.e., you get on the bus, it drives down the road for 200 meters, then it stops for 40 seconds, then it drives down the road for 400 meters, then it stops for 40 seconds, then it drowns. Just people don't want that. People want to get places quickly without the hassle of having to wait for other people to get on and off the vehicle, and it also dramatically worsens the efficiency and results in dramatically reduced time spent travelling and great efficiencies as well. This is a personalised service. Every couple or group is transported in their own vehicle. Loose capacity is flexible because we can adjust the number of cars in circulation, reduce the number during periods of low demand like rainy days. Fantastic. You can also throw more vehicles in there if you wanted to and reduce the overall speed of the system. and that'll increase throughput, but it'll increase journey times. You know, maybe at some times of the year that might be beneficial. We would launch services with drivers. So this is the bit I don't like. I'm disappointed to read this. Makes me a little bit upset. But at the end of the day, unlike a lot of the bitches on the internet, on Twitter, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm just going to accept that it's happened and hope that Tesla and Elon Musk can get on top of this as soon as possible. We would launch services with drivers. So if this system gets built in the next sort of year or so, let's say it takes almost 18 months to build, and they start at the beginning of next year, you know, we're looking at Q3 2023, we would still have drivers. I'm not sure why. I've seen lots of videos of full self-driving. It's driving for 1, 2, 3 hours, no interventions on complex roads. So I have no idea why it's having trouble in tunnels. I'm thinking it's more, as it says here, state government allows its use. I think this is a regulations issue. This is not a technology issue. It's a regulation issue. Unfortunately, bureaucrats are getting in the way. They have to prove that it's safe. But paying drivers $15 an hour, potentially paying up to 200, 300 drivers, bonkers expensive, and it's just not financially viable. From Tesla to SpaceX, Elon Musk has shown himself as a visionary, almost revolutionary. No, he is a revolutionary, absolutely, in advancing our society. Everything that he turns his hand to, Elon Musk turns into a massive success. Anyone who says otherwise is just sour grapes because they lost money shorting Tesla, or they lost money in other companies that have just not been able to compete with the Boring company or Tesla or SpaceX. And, you know, sour grapes to you guys. You know, if you've lost some money, you know, and boo-hoo, get over it. You know, man up, come up with a different strategy. Stop moaning at Elon Musk. Accept that he's the best at the moment. He's the leader, and you've got to catch up with him. If you can't catch up with him or find a company that can, you know, compete with him, then, you know, it's game over. You can either join us or you can lose. That's the ultimate kind of decision that you've got to take. This is a guy who dramatically cut the cost of missions to space and has moved electric vehicles into the mainstream. He wants to bring the same creativity to transport. His venture to Las Vegas has shown success. He built a transit tunnel around the sprawling convention centre in just 1 year's time. So it's actually 13 months and 3.5 weeks, around about. Whisking people across the campus. The system was called a 30-minute walk. I'm not sure it was 30 minutes. I think it was 20 minutes, 18-minute walk into it's a 2.5-minute journey, or 2 minutes and 18-second journey. Vegas officials are so impressed that they have now hired Elon Musk to build a 30-mile system, actually, connecting dozens of popular destinations along the resorts corridor to the airport and downtown. Not surprising that Las Vegas and Fort Lauderdale are looking at the same technology. We are both cities with huge tourism bases and rapidly growing populations, and we are both cities willing to think outside the box to address our challenges. Construction safety, again, we're just covering things that the FUDsters are pushing. You can't tunnel under the water table. It's too difficult and expensive. There's many ways that you can tunnel under the water table. It's not an issue. Speak to any tunneling engineer. They'll just tell you that there's more complexities to it, but it's very doable. With the right logistics and the right planning and the right, you know, survey work, it becomes a lot easier. Downtown buildings are going to be sat on piles. Those piles are going to be, you know, potentially up to 80 foot deep, so maybe 100 foot deep. So you need to be well aware where they are. You also need to be very aware of well casings. Well casings can be 60, 70, 80 foot deep as well. The last thing you want to do with TBM is hit a well casing. That equals a lost TBM instantaneously. As soon as you've hit it, that TBM is stuck for the foreseeable future. So you've got to do good survey work. You've got to, you know, make sure you're walking that route, analysing what's going to happen in each particular area, and try to identify where potential problems are. The Boeing company has addressed these concerns with other projects and believe it is more than capable of doing so here as well. Remember, we're on to Proof Rock 2 now. So as the technology advances, we're going to see the capabilities of these machines improve. We're going to see that also the people who use these TBMs become more experienced, become better problem solvers, become more familiar with the technology that they're using. And as they become more complete miners, that will result in better performance for the Boring Company. Fact is, we already have tunnels in South Florida, the Kinney Tunnel on Federal Highway, and then the Port of Miami. I remember Warren Redleck told me about that one. It was a difficult one, very varied geology at the Port of Miami, just down to the actual gradient that you're driving that tunnel or boring. So it's problematic, but I'm hopeful that the Boring Company will be maintaining a steady level, and that will ultimately result in less problems. We're going to tunnel through high water table, blah 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 blah. Here is the interesting bit. Where could this potentially go in the future? This was the most interesting part of this blog, as it were. Future connections could go to the airport, seaport, convention centre, DRV, PNK Stadium. I wonder if that's where Inter Miami play. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look into that. Tri-Rail Station. Points out west, such as the Nova Southeastern University campus, Sawgrass Mills Mall, Hard Rock. I think as well, the Boring Company should have a sit down. I might have mentioned this in the past. Sit down with Brightline, who do high-speed trains across Florida, and say, hey, we can work together. We complement each other. We do journeys under 20 miles. You do journeys, over 20 miles. Let's work together to see if we can integrate your stations into various other networks. That, for me, is very, very important. I'm very, very glad that Virgin and Brightline didn't do the merger, because I think as they are now, they're a bit more of an open-minded organisation. Okay, let's wrap this up. Beach residents have long expressed concerns about EMS capabilities and impact on the bridge lot. We don't EMS vehicles that use at all, make the need of critical care quickly to main hospitals. So EMS, I presume that stands for emergency services. If it's not, tell me in the comments below. Use the tunnel. So that is an absolutely fantastic idea. I skipped over this before and I didn't notice it. So having actual ambulances use the tunnel would result in people getting to hospital much, much quicker. Would also mean that potentially lives are saved here. So that is a really great idea. And this is another use case, as I was talking further back. The Robo-Van can be adapted as an ambulance. You might only need 2 or 3 of them, but on busy days when there are potential problems, this could save a lot of lives. Even as we consider this exciting option, we have not stopped making tremendous progress on upgrading cities. Utility infrastructure, keeping our neighborhoods safe and building upon our great quality of life. Also remember, this is just one traffic solution. Move forward with other ideas such as commuter rail. I agree. There's lots and lots of different options. Bring them all together. Each one complements each other. Whether it's having more kind of taxi services, maybe we're using smaller electric vehicles like the Arcamoto, some kind of pod car, something like that, scooters, electric kind of motorbikes, having some kind of tram network and some commuter trains. All these things, buses, having lots of electric buses, all these things come together on top of the Boring Company's loop, and everything complements each other. Everyone benefits. We don't need all this tribalism where all the train spotters kick off every time there's news about a Boring Company project, complaining that they're not getting money because of this. They need to work harder. They need to get costs down. They need to deliver projects on time. They need to deliver better quality projects. They need to stop moaning. They need to focus on themselves, not focus on Elon Musk and the Boring Company. We're fed up with their whinging. We're fed up with their moaning. We're fed up with all the FUD that they're spreading, most of which is complete bullshit. Okay, good. So, that's that. That's the blog. I like the blog. It was a great blog. I really very much enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Hope you're liking the new camera setup. Finally got my haircut as well, which is very important. And I hope that you enjoyed this particular episode. I think that Dean Trantalise is definitely a big supporter of the Boring Company. I think that his whole career depends on this project. If it goes well, it almost guarantees him, the position of mayor until he retires, unless there's some kind of scandal. If it goes wrong, it's curtains for Dean. He could be thrown out. But I have every confidence that the Boring Company is going to deliver. There have been some projects at problems. There have been some problems at Resorts World. I understand that. The Boring Company is coming back stronger. They're going to make some big changes to Proofrock, upgrade it to Proofrock 2, and thus they're going to fight their way through these various issues that they've been encountering. I'm very, very happy with what the Boring Company has done this year so far, and I think the fact that we're winning some more projects, including this one, including the Ontario Airport project, including potentially a project in Austin, potentially also a project in Miami, and whatever else appears on the horizon. Okay, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed that. And remember, guys, do not be boring. I will see you on the next one. Thank you to all my Patreons. This camera setup is because of you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Take care now, and goodbye. See you on the next one.
Wow.